Ladies and gentlemen, Elite Heat is back for this week. Kevin, massive show. I'm actually genuinely really looking forward to this. We're going to do a big Cena Reigns debate later on, which I'm looking forward to. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff said in that that's going to be a bit, I will say, heated just for the sake of the show, but I think that's going to be fantastic. And Kevin, before we get to that, though, we've got some things to talk about with current wrestling. There's a fair bit going on. You've told me off camera that there's something you want to mention, which I'll hand over to you in a moment. But yeah, talking Bloodline, talking that like one or two good segments on Raw. Should be good. Kevin, over to you. How you doing, pal?
I'm good, pal. Before we get to this week's episode, I'd like to make a plug if I can. So my YouTube channel, my solo YouTube channel, was formerly known as Bonafide Heat. I have put that to rest. Done are the days of the Miz rants and the rants in general. It's over. No more. My channel will now be called Wrestling Uncovered. So subscribe to the channel, it'll be in the link in this description. Got new content coming very soon. Gonna be a unique brand of content that you can't find anywhere else in wrestling YouTube, pal. Now, with all that being said, let me ask you, Mr. Jimmy the Elitist, Mr. JTE. What's your honest thoughts on Mr. Tony Khan booking an angle featuring a car crash victim less than a month after we lost Jay Briscoe in a horrific, tragic car crash?
That's not the best, Kevin. I thought AEW would be above doing something like that. I thought AEW was about professionalism, just letting the guys wrestle. There's none of this BS. That's the very kind of Vince McMahon type thing, Kevin. I expect better from AEW.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, last week, or I guess we could say Wednesday's Dynamite, MJF, he did a promo where he was talking about, I assume, Liv Morgan. He's talking about a woman named Liv that was, quote unquote, servicing him while he was driving. And then he got into an accident, and said Liv was severely injured. I don't remember if he said that she died, but I know he was severely injured. And I remember watching this, and I was like, okay, this is the true personification. Like, you and I, we say all the time to be funny that people will praise everything AEW does. A certain portion of the fan base will praise everything AEW does. And people were praising this. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, bro, this is literally Katie Vick redone. Like the beginning of the Katie Vick, where Triple H is like, oh, Kane lost his girlfriend in a car accident. So not only is it a reminder of that horrific storyline, literally less than a month ago, Jay Briscoe lost his life in a car accident. And now MJF is doing this as a promo. So, I don't know. I mean, I have just reservations about it. You know, MJF, for one, should have not done this, for one. Tony Khan should not have signed off on this. Where are the EVPs, pal? Where's the Young Bucks and Kenny? You'd be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that?
Yeah, I know. Kevin, I'm not gonna like feign. No, I'm not saying you are at all with this, but I'm not gonna like, be like some of these people I've seen in the community with this who've like faked being genuine. Like, and there's a very small percentage as well who've acted as though this is like genuinely like, how could you? But like, it's just kind of really seriously. Well, this is one of those things where I know it gets said a lot, Kevin, but if WWE had have done anything even like this, and not even to this extent, they hadn't even mentioned any kind of car accident within a month of what happened with Jay Briscoe. Oh my God. The scandal, Kevin, the backlash, the outrage. I know what you mean with the reaction this got. People were praising this. Oh my God, what a promo. This is so good. Oh my God, MJ, the best promo in the biz. Oh, he's amazing. This was so good. And it's like, there's just no consistency. Like, that's all I ask for. If this happens and Vince McMahon's booking the show, you're saying this is the worst thing we've seen in 15 years. You're saying WWE is evil. You're saying that it needs to be taken off television. You're saying to strip MJ for the championship. It happens in AEW, Kevin, the exact same promo, and it's like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, and my question is, what does this promo have to do with the storyline at hand between
I
Bryan
know.
Danielson and MJF?
I know. Like, go on.
Yeah, and I'm not here to say, oh, MJF should be fired, Tony Khan should have to relinquish his ownership of AEW. I'm not saying that, but like man, like, wow, just an interesting choice of content, if you will. And I don't know how I feel about it. You know, I mean,
Well,
I'm not gonna like boycott AEW or anything over it, but I just wasn't a fan of it. And then everybody was complaining too about the Acclaimed losing the tag team titles to the Guns. Like people freaking out about that. Like why? I don't know. AEW just seems to be in the mud creatively right now. That it's like
yeah.
great time. Like this literally might be the worst that AEW's been, the worst position they've been in creatively since their inception in 2019. I don't know if that's a hyperbole or an overblown statement, but that's just the way I feel. I mean, I haven't really seen anything in recent months that's like, wow, gotta catch
I
AEW,
know.
pal.
I know what you're saying. Like, Kevin, I remember. I mean, for the most part, Kevin, AEW's had at least something ever
Mhm.
since they've been conceived, which has been like, okay, well, at least most of the show I'm not really into, but they're doing this, or I'm not really into a bunch of stuff, but Jericho's doing his stuff, or I'm not really into a bunch of the stuff, but MJF is doing the running for president stuff, and there's some interesting storylines going on here, or Cody's fighting racism, or CM Punk's feuding with the Elite. There's been something, Kevin.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I feel like the last few months, obviously Punk's been off TV. We've had, I think, yes, John Moxley's feuding with Hangman Page. That's just happening, I'm pretty sure. We've got Daniel Bryan's feuding with MJF, but literally the week to week build is Daniel Bryan having matches with just randoms, and then MJF's cutting these just odd promos, which apparently everyone's praising. And then what? Like the Guns are now the tag champions. What's going on, Kevin? Kevin, to me, AEW for so long, their whole thing was, "Ha, we're not Vince McMahon. We're an alternative." Now it's like, well, Triple H is running WWE and he's running it pretty well on the whole. It's more interesting than AEW. The main storyline in WWE is way more interesting than AEW. Just AEW just kind of there. They're lackluster creatively. Nothing they're doing is genuinely captivating me at all. Like I tuned in a little bit to Dynamite 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what is this? Like what on this show is inspiring me to watch next week? In WWE, Kevin, you've got the Bloodline, which right there, everything they do with that is fantastic. They've got Cody and him challenging for the title, and they're building up the young guys really well. And AEW, I'm like, what's the direction of this product, Kevin? You got Paige or Soraya and Tony Storm as a tag team. Why are they a tag team? Because they've been a part of Triple X Action Online. Like, what is this, Kevin? What is this show?
You know what? One of these days, I have a content idea. You and I, we're gonna do a stream. We're gonna go back and we're gonna watch an Elite Heat episode, and I'm gonna take a shot every time you say my name when you talk, and we'll see how long I last before I pass out.
Kevin.
Like I think right there in this like opening what like 5 minutes, you said my name at least like 4 times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It adds emphasis to the points. Like I say something dramatic instead of saying like okay or like, I say Kevin.
Oh, it's great. It's great, pal. Keep doing what you're doing. But the transition, since you brought up Cody Rhodes, I want to talk about this fantastic promo between Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman from Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
I mean, this was like a near perfect promo. And I want to ask you this too.
Mm-hmm.
Is Paul Heyman like is he a top 3 promo of all time now? So I think most people will say like 95% of people watching this will probably agree that number 1 and 2 are Rock and Ric Flair. You could even say 1A, 1B in terms of the best mic workers. And then like that 3 through 10 spots, they're pretty wide open. I mean, a lot of people would say Chris Jericho, CM Punk, Dusty Rhodes, Steve Austin. But I mean, I think Paul Heyman might be in that conversation. What do you think?
I'd agree. I would agree with you. I think, and what we've seen from Paul Heyman this week alone on Raw with Cody, which this Kevin, you allude to it. This segment was excellent. This was really good. Like that segment was great, and then the segment on SmackDown, well, the multiple segments actually, but the one in the ring with Sami Zayn was great, and then all the stuff backstage after it with the Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman's phenomenal. And Kevin, for years, it was just him in the ring with Brock Lesnar, and he would explain the storyline, and you'd think, oh, okay, and it would kind of be a bit bland. But now, what we're seeing is just Paul Heyman showing how great he is. And Kevin, that segment on Raw, oh my god, like I'll throw back to you for this. Tell us how good it was, Hal.
It was so good. It was so captivating. That's why we watch pro wrestling. You and me. We watch pro wrestling for the entertainment, for the segments, for the promos. Yeah, the matches are good, But if you're just having matches for the sake of having matches, like that's kind of watered down. Not really my style. I don't really view wrestling as like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a gymnastic, like an
Yep.
art. You know,
Yep.
I don't really view it that way. I like it for the entertainment. And this was just everything that I like in one like what 20-minute segment. So basically Cody he's out there, Paul Heyman's out there, and they're like Cody's giving Paul Heyman his flowers. Paul Heyman's giving Cody his flowers, and then it takes a turn. Then Heyman makes that just emotional statement where he's like, you know, Roman is the son that Dusty always wanted, and just like, wow, it was crazy. You know, the what's the word I'm looking for? Insinuating that Cody and Dustin they never really won the big one. They were never the face of WWE, so they didn't make Dusty proud, but Roman did. And then Cody just gets emotional, saying that Paul Heyman makes it personal. Just a masterclass, an absolute masterclass of storytelling.
It was so good. And you're watching it thinking, all those times we were watching AEW a few years ago, looking at Cody's segments, thinking this feels so WWE. This doesn't feel like AEW. Well, now what we're seeing is Cody in literally the main storyline, and he's fitting in perfectly. Cody doesn't feel out of place at all in this segment. Cody felt like a big star. Paul Heyman was fantastic in this as well, and the promo was great. When it took that turn with the Roman line, oh my god, incredible! And that set up the WrestleMania match really well because Kevin, obviously, right now it's a lot of the Bloodline, Sami Zayn. That's like the big thing, and there was some people who are a bit, trepidatious that that might overshadow Reigns and Cody at WrestleMania, but especially after that segment on Raw, everything will play out just fine. The Cody and Roman match already from that one segment alone has enough hype to make it at least a compelling WrestleMania main event. So it should be phenomenal.
Absolutely. And then the transition
Mm.
over to SmackDown, we had the Sami Zayn, we had the Paul Heyman segment, and Roman Reigns wasn't on the show. That's another thing to know. Roman Reigns was not on the show, but the Bloodline, the rest of the Bloodline, the Usos, Sammy, Paul Heyman, they built up to the Elimination Chamber match perfectly. And I think that adds to the mystique of Roman Reigns and the mystique of a WWE champion when they're not there all the time. Roman Reigns doesn't have to be on SmackDown every Friday and on Raw every Monday having matches or whatever, cutting promos, doing segments. And it's just not necessary. It kind of waters down the champion. Like I think about like Seth Rollins when he wins the belt in the heist of the century after cashing in on
Yeah.
Money in the Bank. Then the next night it's just like, okay, we're gonna do Seth Rollins versus Neville. Here's a match. There you go. Like like wow. Okay, very entertaining.
You've brought up that Seth Rollins and Neville match in like our last three shows. I
Yeah, it's just a classic example for me of like
know, right?
the
I
way to
know.
ruin a champion and water down a champion.
Correct. The champion should feel big time. The champion should feel special. It should feel like the champion's on the show, and you're thinking, "Oh my god, when's the segment going to be? What's he going to do?" That's what you should think. And that this bloodline stuff on SmackDown, particularly, that has that written all over it. You've got that segment to open the show. Sami Zayn comes up in the hoodie behind Paul Heyman. Heyman cuts the really good little promo. Then Sami Zayn gets heated with him and warns Roman and warns Heyman about what Roman's got to deal with and how Montreal is going to be a different beast. It's going to be a night Roman is won't be prepared for, like all this type of stuff. And then the stuff with the Usos, which that was only about 20 minutes, half an hour later, because the opening segment happened. And then they do a couple other like little kind of lower card stuff, and then they're back to the Usos and their tag title match like 25 minutes later. So it wasn't like last week where you go like an hour without seeing any bloodline stuff. This week it was literally every like 15 to 20 minutes there was a new bloodline segment of some kind. It made the show flow really well. Considering Roman Reigns wasn't on it, obviously the star power isn't as like, oh, Roman's on. But the storyline was just they fleshed it out brilliantly. And yeah, as you say, they built up the Elimination Chamber great, and it was just really good all around.
But what did you think of the segment where Sami Zayn acknowledged Jey Uso?
That was excellent. That was really good. It's stuff like that where Sami Zayn just if you haven't seen that, go watch it. Sami Zayn's backstage. They're next to like one of those production trucks, like those big WWE trucks. Jey Uso's got his tag titles after the title match, and Sami Zayn's just like, you not doing what you did at the Royal Rumble, that meant a lot to me. Like I appreciated that. I think you can see where I'm coming from with Roman. Like I acknowledge you, Jay. You're like genuinely really good, and he like fist bumped him. Like that was great. That is fantastic television. That's more compelling than anything we've seen in a long time. Just that segment right there. So yeah, really good,
Very high
really good.
praise. Yeah, then
Yep.
the show ended with the tag team title match, correct?
No, no, no. So the tag title match happened like an hour into the show, right? With
Okay.
Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Jey Uso comes down through the crowd, so he was there for his brother. Him and Jimmy hug. They do their match. Then after it, there's like a backstage segment. Jay and Jimmy are talking. Then Jay walks off. Paul Heyman comes over to Jimmy Uso and it's like, "Oh, did Jay say anything?" And Jimmy says no. So there's a bit of tension there, Kevin. Then they main evented the show with the Fatal 4-Way IC title #1 contenders match, pal.
Well, first, talk to us about this for a moment.
Mhm.
So, presumably, I think you told me this that the Usos are not allowed in Montreal for legal reasons.
To my understanding, and like the story came out, yes, due to I think it was the DUI stuff, particularly involving Jimmy, that they're not allowed in Canada. Now, Kevin, what they did, what they're setting up is at the end of the show, Paul Heyman told Jimmy Uso, just got a message from our tribal chief. Stay home next week for SmackDown. Watch the show. You apparently learn a lot more watching the show on TV than you do actually being on it, which I thought that was a great way of ending it because obviously there's been a bit of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso stuff, and there's been some drama unfold. So yeah, Kevin, I guess they're setting up for when the Usos aren't at the Elimination Chamber potentially.
That's
So
hilarious. Yeah, what do you think about Madcap Moss becoming the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship?
oh, I mean, I don't think he's going to dethrone Gunther. I don't think that. Yeah, I guess filler. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, it's interesting. Okay, well, I guess that wraps up our conversation about the weekly shows. Anything else you want to add?
Not really. I don't know. Next week there should be I think a Brock Lesnar and Lashley contract signing. There's gonna be more Bloodline
That's
stuff
gonna be
and
great.
probably another good Cody segment or two, and they could maybe going to flesh out a bit more of the WrestleMania plan. So yeah, next week's shaping up well for the weekly shows, which that's I haven't said that in a long time. So yeah, should be interesting.
All right, so now what we're gonna do? We're gonna have like a great debate about John Cena and Roman Reigns. Essentially, so the
Hmm.
way I've prepared this, and I think you'll like this idea.
Hmm.
We break it down to like 6 to 10 important categories that make up a wrestler. So, for
Yep.
example, I would say, okay, now we're gonna talk about Roman Reigns and John Cena's in-ring ability, and then
Yep.
we could kind of debate it from there, like that. What do
Yep.
you think?
I like that. I do. I do. I think, yeah, a category basis is like the most objective we can do it. We're not just trying to yell on feelings here. We want to like actually break this down and give you guys some value when you listen to this. So yeah, I like the format. I like the format.
Right, and the crux of this, the reason why you and I are doing this is because Roman Reigns and John Cena are the biggest stars of their respective generation. John Cena owned the 2000s and the early 2010s, and then Roman Reigns picked up at about 2014-15 and has been owning WWE for the past decade, roughly.
Hmm.
So now we're going to see just which one is better. And, naturally, I'm more of a Ruthless Aggression era guy. You're a
Hmm.
PG era guy. So you may
Hmm.
resonate more with the peak of Roman Reigns, where I'll resonate more with the peak of John Cena. So it should make
Yeah.
for an interesting debate. And
Yeah.
and,
And
and whether I'll just let me say this real quick. Now,
big time.
whatever side of the fence you fall on, like you're not right or wrong. If you're a Roman Reigns fan or if you're a John Cena fan, let us know in the comments. Tweet at us, whatever, wherever you stand. If you agree with me or you hate me, or you agree with Jimmy or you hate Jimmy for whatever reason,
Yeah.
we're just gonna have a
And
little fun.
I know, right? And yeah, Kevin, the main reason I've had this idea to do this was I was watching the Royal Rumble and that ending like segment with Roman Reigns and like the main event match with Owens, really what happened after. I know you saw it, or everyone listening has probably seen it by now, and just how great that storytelling was. And I said to myself, I can never recall John Cena being involved in a storyline or something that is genuinely that compelling from a storyline perspective. Because Kevin, growing up, all I saw of Cena was, oh, Hustle, loyalty, respects the nation. I never give up. I overcome odds, even though I'm our top baby face for a decade. I beat Rusev's the nation. I beat Bray Wyatt's the nation. Wade Barrett, AAU, and bury you's the nation. Like that's all. That's all I remember. I was thinking to myself watching the Rumble. What Reigns is doing right now, Cena basically never did outside of some stuff on like SmackDown 2004. So yeah, with that said, I think we're ready to kind of kick this off with this back and forth discussion. We'll call it discussion. It may turn into a heated debate. We never know. So yeah,
All right,
that's
let's
all
get
it is.
to it. So I'll pick a category that I don't think there would be much debate with to start off
Hmm.
with, and
Yeah,
that's mic skills.
yeah.
You go ahead. You kick it off.
I'd give that to Cena. I think Cena's mic skills. I mean, against Roman, personally, we saw 2017. I can't pretend like that didn't happen. That was that was a thrashing in 2017. That said, Kevin, 2021 when they redid the feud, Reigns' mic skills were damn near better than Cena in that feud. Then again, Cena's whole bit during that was literally, I'm gonna beat you, and all I need is 1, 2, 3. Like Cena just kept saying that over and over again. That was childish. That was cringe. But Kevin, on the whole body of work, yeah, Cena destroys Reigns here in that one.
Yeah, John Cena's a guy that's on the short list. When you think of the best promos in the wrestling history, in the wrestling business, John Cena's gonna come up in most people's minds. He's up there with The Rock, with Flair, with
Yeah,
Austin. He's just on a different level than Roman Reigns. I mean, it's really like just one thing that like extenuates this point is the fact that Roman needs Paul Heyman by his side to do most of his talking for him. Like, yeah,
yeah,
Roman's not a bad promo, but I don't even
yeah,
think people would rank Roman in like the top 30 mic workers. Would he make the top 50? Maybe, but Cena's like in the top 5, top 7 conversation.
yeah. Well, yeah, like in the modern day, like with all the current wrestlers we have, like Reigns is he's like basically a standout. I know he has Paul Heyman next to him, but like Reigns' promos are like pretty good. They're not the best. I'm not saying that, but they're pretty good promos just generally, like at the moment. But when you look at wrestling, the annals of the all-time greats, yes, Cena had a lot of bad promos written for him by Vince McMahon and WWE writers over the years. But when we've seen Cena almost with the shackles off or with a bit of creative freedom to it, Cena's excellent. He is a phenomenal talker. So, yeah, objectively, Kevin will give, yeah, Cena gets this category.
Yeah,
Without a
and
doubt.
just to add a little bit more to this, I don't even think Roman Reigns is the best promo in the business right now. Paul Heyman is better than him. I would take Cody over him. MJF, maybe Eddie Kingston. Some people would take Eddie Kingston over Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It's just, Cena, when Cena was at his peak, and even like from '04 when Cena was doing the Dr. Thugonomics, it was like, okay, Cena's the best guy on the mic, and it's really not that close. He was just the best guy for pretty much all his run, except for like when Punk came in. Punk became the cult of personality in 2010, 2011, that era. But other than that, it was mostly Cena.
You reckon Cena was the best mic worker from like 2005 through literally until like 2015, except for the punk stuff? You really think Cena was the best mic worker in that whole time?
Well, who would you say? I assume you have someone in mind.
Well, no, but I'm saying like a bunch of those years. I mean, Cena was hardly giving us like great must see promos. It was very much just like I'm the champ. I beat your ass, the nation. Like uh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
I guess
when push came to shove though, and it was
yeah,
time for Cena to cut a good promo,
that's fair.
Cena could
That's
turn
yeah,
it on.
yeah.
Like people say in hindsight, but not even hindsight. I guess when it happened, when the Rock and Cena feud happened, people are like, oh my god, the Rock owns Cena. Like go back and watch those segments.
No,
Cena
Cena was
held
very
his
good.
own.
Cena, yeah,
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 Cena held his
yeah.
own. There was definitely some corny times where Cena would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna beat you, Rusev, and that's it, pal." But when
Mm,
push came to shove, Cena was there. We've seen some how many great like mic mic offs have we seen with Cena? Cena and AJ Styles, Cena and Punk, Cena and Edge, even Cena Orton had some good battles on the mic. It was just it was he was always on a different level. And the corny stuff, he did his shtick down to the T. Like he always had his stick down. He always looked comfortable. He always made people buy into what he was saying, what he was selling, whether they
yeah,
hated him or they cheered him. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, but yeah,
yeah. And one
we
more
spent.
thing.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, one more. I want to say one more thing as well. Cena has a lot more like memorable lines.
Yes.
Granted, his career's been a lot longer, but like Reigns doesn't really have the like the lines you can think of off the top of your head. I clearly remember, Kevin, when we're talking about mic work, the Cena line to the Usos about you two look just like your mugshots, like stuff like that. That's fantastic. Like Reigns, his most like memorable line outside of the Suffer and Succotash line from 2015, his most memorable, like probably funny type, TV 14 line was the missionary one about Cena. Like that was like a legitimately good line. But outside of that, generally it's mostly the same. Cena's had that many like funny or creative lines over the years. You thought, oh my, that guy's actually he's class on the
Yeah,
mic.
I
So
mean
yeah,
the battle raps with Angle and Big Show,
yeah,
the time where he owned Lita and Edge. He's had so many. There's so many we could go
yeah.
on and on with for days. But if you were to put like a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 on each guy's mic skills, what would you give them? For me, I would say Cena's like a 9, and I would
Hmm.
give Reigns maybe like a 5.5.
I'd say Cena's a 9, Reigns is a 6.5 or a 7. But then again, yeah, nowadays, just comparatively, Kevin, 20 years ago, I'd say the average wrestler there in WWE, their mic ability was like a 7 or an 8, like for the average wrestler, the average star. Nowadays, I'd say the average is like a 3.5 or a 4. So that's kind of comparatively where we're at at this
Right.
stage in wrestling. But yeah, Cena takes his category. I think we can move on.
Absolutely. All right. So I guess a good category we could move to is merchandise.
Hmm.
So we could break this into like two different subcategories where we just talk about overall quality of merchandise and then
Yeah.
sales. John Cena for sales. I mean, John Cena is the biggest merchandise seller. He's one of the biggest merchandise sellers of all time. I think he's second or
Yep.
third behind Austin and Hogan. He's somewhere
Yep.
like in that top three. Reigns maybe one day will crack the top 10, maybe. But yeah, I mean that like there's really nothing to debate there. Cena just statistically has done more sales, but quality of merchandise is an interesting one because Roman does have the Shield merchandise behind him, which the Shield merchandise was pretty good. And his the Bloodline stuff, his new merchandise is probably better than anything that Cena's had. Like
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
could maybe even argue some stuff for Cena. Like Cena has the like the army shirt or maybe like his some people
Like
really
his
like
8-bit,
huh
8-bit Cena.
yeah that one. What was the other one that people really like from Cena? I'm struggling to remember, but yeah, the
Mm,
Bloodline stuff like the Mafia, the Sopranos stuff from
mm.
the Bloodline. I that's like a top tier quality wrestling merchandise.
Yeah, that one, yeah. Personally, Kevin, once again, I'm happy you broke this category down to 2 because if we're talking sales and like all-time, I guess, recognizability, with this Cena wins, clearly, but just generally with like what merch looks like I'd much prefer to wear. I'd rather wear like these like mafia style bloodline shirts with like either a picture of Roman looking like a gang boss with like Heyman, or like the bloodline, or like the acknowledge me, or the tribal chief, or all these shirts. I'd much rather wear that than some of these like neon colored Cena ones, which just has a big like on the back you can't like it's like see me, and like some of these shirts the color was very recognizable and distinctive. You got like bright green, bright orange. Cena did like all he did the whole rainbow, pal. Cena did the fruity pebbles of t-shirts, pal. Cena did it all, but on the whole Reigns is much more wearable and better in my opinion. That's just me.
Absolutely. And Cena's merchandise is more iconic. The John Cena T-shirt is just gonna be more recognizable. Like that's on the level of like the NWO shirt, the DX shirt, the Austin 316 shirt. You see someone in the streets wearing like a purple "You Can't See Me" shirt, you're gonna know what it is, whether you're a wrestling fan or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
So
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I think I'll give sales and recognizability is obviously Cena, but as far as kind of how cool the merch is or like the quality of it, I'd say Reigns wins this category. So
yeah, right. Yeah, it just depends on how you look at it. I think
yeah.
overall, I would have to give it to Cena, just because like the numbers and the recognizability.
Hmm.
Like you said, Reigns is better quality, but I think if we're talking merchandise overall as a category, yeah, I think it's got to go to Cena. But
Yeah,
it's
and
also
Cena.
interesting. It's also
So
interesting because like WWE, they don't want you to know that Jeff Hardy and CM Punk outsold Cena in the late 2000s and early 2010s. So that's also an interesting factor to put into perspective as well. But yeah,
But Pal, the never give up, you can't see me. It's a nation, like all those shirts with bright neon colors, Pal. But you're telling me that they got outsold by someone? Excuse me? Like,
I know,
yeah,
isn't that
all
mind
good.
blowing?
I know, right? Shocking. Anyway, Kevin, we've covered merch. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's talk about charisma. So this one is an interesting one. I think they're pretty close on this category. Talk about Reigns and Cena's charisma, presence, factor in maybe entrance into this category too. When both guys are on the screen, it's must see TV. Cena's
Mhm.
at a different level now in current day just because he's never around. So when Cena does make an appearance, it's like, oh my god, I have to watch this. And
Yeah.
it's similar with Reigns. Like he's around, like he'll take a couple weeks off here and there. He'll be around building up to a pay per view where he's gonna be defending the title. So yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna check that out. I want to see what Reigns is doing. It's not the same level as current Cena. Like if we're talking overall charisma, I think I got to give the edge to Cena on this one.
Yeah, so Cena's better when he goes on like Jimmy Fallon and he goes on these like the Daily Show, like these morning shows. Like Cena, as far as like a brand ambassador, is just he's just a little bit better. Probably 'cause his personality is a bit more just like not goofy, but it's a bit more like kind of just like fun. Like, if that makes sense. Roman's like he's a bit more serious. He's still got that like like kind of fun side to him, but Cena was just like a bit more, I guess, and has been more like kind of, I guess, likable, easy to gravitate to. If that makes sense,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like it's close, but I mean you'll tip it to Cena. I'd say just because of the longevity of how many appearances he's done on these shows and like his general personality. But as far as charisma, yeah, like from WWE, like in the week to week shows perspective, I'd say what Reigns does nowadays is better than most of what Cena did in his career. From the perspective of Kevin 10 years ago, every Raw would open with Cena coming out. I'm in Miami, Nation. I'm here. I'm fighting Ryback at Extreme Rules. I overcome everything, Nation. Like stuff like that. You'd think to yourself, oh, what kind of is this charismatic? Like he's cutting the same promos. He's addressing the local sports team in Miami. He's saying that the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl and getting a cheap pop. Like that. This is charisma. This is Cena. But nowadays, I'd say yeah. I'll tip this on the scene just because of the longevity, but yeah, Reigns is doing now from the charisma standpoint. He comes out, it's machismo. Like he's the big G. That's literally Reigns' character is he's top G of WWE. It's great. So
Yeah, and for me, I think Cena is. Oh, I'm sorry. I think charisma is Cena's greatest overall attribute. So I would give him a 10 in this category. I would give Reigns like an 8.5, 9. Reigns is very charismatic too. Reigns always had that natural charisma. He was the guy that when the Shield would come out, you'd be like, okay, yeah, Reigns is the guy that's going to be a WWE champion in the near future. You look at Rollins, you look at Ambrose, like yeah, those guys are great, but Reigns has it all. Reigns is like what 6'4", built like a football player, jacked, body of a Greek god, super athletic, great entrance. He always commanded people's attention from even the Shield days, even his NXT days. It was just something different about him. But with Cena, and I think what makes him so great is you talk about like the rinse, wash, repeat promos. Nobody else could. I don't think anybody else could ever do what Cena did. I don't think you could put anyone else, whether it's Hulk Hogan, Austin, Bret Hart, any of the all-time greats. I don't think you could put any of them in what's seen in Cena's position, what he did in that climate, and he could just make it where people still want to see him. He would come out every week, do the same thing, but the people that grew up on the Attitude Era that just hated Cena, they were still tuning in to hate watch his segments. And the kids and the families, they were tuning in because they love Cena. It's unprecedented, and I think that speaks to his charisma. Like, let's say, for example, you put Kurt Angle in that position, just to throw a name out there, not to pick on Kurt Angle, but you put him in that position. You have Kurt Angle, you make him the face of WWE, and you have him play this character where he's an obnoxious Olympic hero babyface, and he does a similar shtick to John Cena. I think it would have got tiring. I don't think it would have worked the same. Cena's just he's got that natural it factor to him that you can't really put into perspective, and that's what makes him in the conversation for the Mount Rushmore topic, and that's why Reigns is not there. Maybe Reigns will get there at one point, but Cena he always had people's attention no matter what he was doing. I think it's unprecedented.
Yeah, and I feel like with that example, a better example probably would have been like Randy Orton. That's for that one because like Kurt Angle was one of the most charismatic guys ever, I'd say as well. Like someone like Randy Orton doing that, where he's cutting that shtick week in week out, people would have just tuned out in droves. Ratings would have been in the twos. But Kevin, did I hear you say that you think Cena's greatest attribute is charisma?
I think it might be. I think it might be like yeah, his mic skills are fantastic too, just absolutely fantastic. But I think his charisma might be his greatest attribute. That's what separates the others. He's got the it factor. He's got that it factor. Like he's the guy. He should have been Future Endeavored in 2002, and somehow he just got this one segment where he did a Vanilla Ice impersonation with Stephanie McMahon on Halloween, and parlayed that into maybe the greatest career in the history of wrestling. And I think that speaks volumes to his charisma.
Yeah, I was going to say Cena's greatest attribute would be burying young talent, but I mean that's just me.
Oh my
So,
god, come on. Are you kidding me?
let's move on. Let's move on. So, next, what's the next topic you got, Cal?
Oh my god. I can't recover for that one. Let's talk about outside of WWE. I think this is a whole category as well, like their celebrity, their presence in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I think this
You
is
made you made this category just so Cena can win another one. I
I think it has to be discussed, pal. I mean, it's part of
we
the
can
total
discuss-
package.
Yep, we can discuss it.
It's part of the total package, pal. And this is one that maybe you could argue future projection for Roman Reigns too.
Yeah.
Like obviously right now Cena is a bigger celebrity, but I'm more so looking at this from the lens of like, okay, is Cena's prime and Roman Reigns prime? Cena was more well known for being a wrestler, and you and I have spoke about this before. I think Cena is the most well known wrestler for being a wrestler.
Right.
People know Dwayne
Right.
Johnson as an actor. People don't know The Rock as a wrestler. I mean, yeah, people do, but not as many people know him as a wrestler as people that know him as an actor. Cena's on that level. Roman Reigns in his prime right now, I think he brings that same level of celebrity.
What do people know Hulk Hogan for?
Oh my god. I don't know,
Anyway,
pal.
anyway, sorry, don't get sidetracked. Yeah, I think Reigns within 5 years he'll be like a Batista almost. He'll be in Hollywood. He'll be in like one or two of these like big time movies, and he'll just be known as kind of like he'll be getting known as like the actor sort of thing. But yeah, I agree. Cena is known as like the big time like the wrestler who everyone knows who is just really recognizable. That's Cena. Reigns, as I said, within a few years, he'll be known as like a big time movie star in big action movies. He was in Hobbs and Shaw as like a supporting role, but he's going to have, in my prediction, and I'll say fair few people's, within 5 years, he's involved in one or two big Hollywood blockbusters as like a main sort of act, as like a lead action movie type hero guy. And his career is just going to take off, and he's going to be known more so as a movie star within 10 years. But yeah, for now, Cena takes this category for what do we call this category, Kevin? Mainstream appeal, I guess.
Yeah, mainstream appeal, outside of the ring, whatever you want to call it. All right, let's get a little more juicy, if you will.
Okay,
Let's talk about in-ring ability.
right.
I'll kick this one off. When you look at in-ring ability, I feel like these guys are pretty similar
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah.
in-ring. I don't think that neither one of these guys is like a Will Ospreay or a Kenny Omega or a Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. Neither one of them are cut from that ilk. I think they're both capable of having good matches, bell to bell, with the right opponent. You put Reigns
Hmm.
in there with Kevin Owens, it's going to be a good match. You put Cena in there with like an AJ Styles, it's going to be a good match. I think they're both similar in that aspect that they have to rely on a quote work rate competitor to get like a good classic in ring match out of the other. But how do you feel, pal?
I think that's fair. I think with Cena, particularly, the big narrative for years was that he couldn't wrestle, and that's because for many years it was just the same match format, which is what pissed people off. And I mean, Reigns was a victim of this when he was like pushed as the top babyface for 5 years. Everyone was booing him. It was very much just he'd be kind of beaten up, even though he's like bigger than his opponent most of the time. He's more jacked. He's just better. He'd be beaten up. He'd be like the classic babyface, and then he'd hit his 5 moves of doom and win. And a bunch of people hated it because it wasn't very good. And then you got to like back Kevin 2015, 2016, 2017 for Cena, and he starts facing AJ Styles. He wrestles against Seth Rollins. He wrestles against these guys who are more, of the great workers. Like I know Cena wrestled against Punk in 2011 and like a match or two in 2012 and 13. Those were excellent. But really, Kevin, Cena started wrestling against like the workers, like the indie work rate guys in 2015 and on. And then you thought, okay, Cena actually is quite good in the ring. It was just how they were booking him for the matches was just poor. And really, I think Roman's much the same. Like when Roman is booked as the underdog babyface in a match who's getting beaten up for a bunch of it, it's crap. It's not good. He's in the ring. He's not very good. Like, and most people are in that situation. But then Kevin, nowadays, I think the style of Reigns matches, he's a great in ring guy for different reasons. He won't hit the 720 plancha Michinoku flip on you, but he'll deliver his offense. He'll talk to the camera. He'll engage the crowd. He'll tell a fantastic story, which to me is what in ring's about, telling the story. So, yeah, I think you're splitting hairs with this. I think Cena was not great in the ring for a long period of time. We didn't really see him being very good in the ring. We'd see him versus Bray Wyatt. We'd see him versus whoever, Alex Riley versus The Miz, versus guys who can't bring the best out of him. But against guys like Punk, guys like Styles, we saw the best of Cena. So, Kevin, I'd say I'm going to give this one a tie, honestly, for me. But yeah, over to you.
Now here's where I would say Roman has the edge over Cena in this category. I think Roman Reigns could have a good match with more people than Cena could have a good match with.
Agree.
You look at Cena and his matches with The Miz, guys like that, they're not good. Now, Cena's not really capable of bringing people up, people that can't wrestle as good as he can. He can't bring them up. He's more stagnant, stays in his style. He's someone that needs, like I said, a guy like Shawn Michaels to bring Cena up to that level. Where I think Roman could take a guy like The Miz, and I think Roman and Miz could have a great match, personally. I think they could have a match that people could buy into, whatever reason, whatever that is, but I think Roman is capable of doing that, where Cena, not so much. But what do you think?
I 100% agree with that. And like I remember vividly, look back to the late 2020. So Reigns has the stuff with Jey Uso, which it's Jey Uso, right? So at the time, he was a tag team guy. You couldn't tell from his brother. Like Jey Uso, really, of all people, this is just a random guy. Reigns has two basically objective 5-star matches with the guy. These incredible emotional storytelling matches, phenomenal like bouts. And then he has a great match against Drew McIntyre, and then a great match against Kevin Owens. And then there was a thing around Royal Rumble time 2 years ago, Kevin, where they're going to do, and they were teasing Roman Reigns versus Adam Pearce. So a guy who hasn't wrestled in years and is literally just some random authority figure on the show, some just random. And I was actually annoyed we didn't get that because that match would have been legitimately good because, as you're saying, Roman Reigns can get as you say, a better match out of just randoms, out of anyone, which I guess from an in-ring standpoint would maybe make it better, I'd say. And after hearing what you just said, I'm now going to give this category to Reigns. I was a bit more neutral, but I mean, that point you make, yeah, Roman could get a better match out of random Joe Blow backstage than Cena could. I agree with that, 100%.
Right. And now if we're talking like bell to bell work rate, I do think Cena is better in that category. Like I think Cena does better moves. I think Cena has more action-packed, quick-paced matches. I think he's more capable of that. I think Reigns can kind of slip into one-dimensional territory at times. Like he needs to rely heavy on storytelling, like you said, the camera work, working the camera, working the crowd.
Yeah.
Where I think Cena, he's a guy that could just go in there and tear the house down with like a Sami Zayn and put on like a 20-minute like work rate classic match. Right? I don't think Reigns is capable of that level. But I do think from an interest standpoint, I think Roman Reigns could have more captivating, more interesting matches overall. I think that's also part of it too. So it's an interesting topic. it's probably like the one with the most meat on the bone, if you will. And then if we're talking storytelling like that, I think that's a whole category, a separate category in and of itself.
Sorry. You mentioned Cena's like work rate
Yeah.
just before.
Yeah.
So are you saying that John Cena doing the sixth move of Doom, the lightning fist move, he did it to Cody, you're telling me that's great work rate? That Reigns just he doesn't match up to that power. Oh yeah, Cena doing the lightning fist at Super. Yeah, wow. Oh,
Well, I think
come
Cena.
on,
All right, so Cena. I'll elaborate more.
Kevin, carry on.
Cena, he his matches. How do I phrase this? All right, so I'll start with this. I was never one of those people that subscribed to the theory of Cena can't wrestle. I always thought that was just hate, irrational hate for the sake of hating Cena. I always thought Cena was a pretty good wrestler for all intents and purposes. But you look at his matches with like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, guys of that nature, some all-time classics. Even with Batista, you put Jericho in there. Cena had great matches with all those guys. Particularly, I think about that Raw 1 hour classic match he had with Michaels. I think about the WrestleMania 22 match with Triple H. What's the one
Yeah.
with Batista? SummerSlam '08. That was really good. I don't think Roman Reigns is capable of hitting that next level. I don't think we've seen that great singular Roman Reigns one-on-one match. Like maybe you could argue his match with Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, and that's maybe his best match overall from an in-ring bell-to-bell perspective. I just think Cena's had more classics. Just I think he has. Like when you think about some of his later classics, the SummerSlam match with Rollins, the SummerSlam match with Daniel Bryan, the Royal Rumble match with AJ Styles. Just those three matches alone, I don't think Roman Reigns has come close in terms of like a singular match. Has come close to that level.
Because those as far as the style of match, those are so different to the ones because I could list you Reigns the matches against Jey Uso and say that Hell in a Cell match was the best match of Reigns' career. I could say that because and also the Super Show, not Super Show. I'm still thinking about Cena's lightning fist. I'm stuck on that. But you mentioning the Reigns and Daniel Bryan Fastlane match was that you doing 2015 or 2021?
15.
Which
15.
15, yeah. Well, yeah, that was during the whole Reigns can't wrestle, Reigns sucks, boo, and then he had a pretty good match with Bryan. Like that was that was good objectively, but yeah, I think for like a soul like you need to have one Roman Reigns match, show us what Roman Reigns is about as an in-ring guy in one match. I'd show you Jey Uso Hell in a Cell. I'd show you that.
Oh yeah.
I think that match, that everything about Roman Reigns in the ring, it was that match personified it. Yeah, obviously I don't think that match is as mainstream, notoriable as the ones you're listing against a Triple H at WrestleMania or a Shawn Michaels on a big WrestleMania or a Batista at SummerSlam. It doesn't have, I guess, the kind of the name and the star power of that. This was a match in the Thunderdome inside a Hell in a Cell in October of 2020. Like it's hardly a match that compares when you talk about grandeur. But from a purely in-ring standpoint, a match like that's like a masterpiece in a way that those Cena matches were not, by and large. So yeah, it's a back and forth one, as you say. It's the most contentious one on here. It's the most like debatable, I think. With this, it's a personal preference thing. But yeah, I'll take Reigns. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Cena in this category by a
okay.
large margin.
A large margin. You say?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'll hold up. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Before you go in, let me state my case. You mentioned that Roman Reigns with Jey Uso match. That's a match. No disrespect to Roman Reigns. That's a match that happened on a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Cena at the grandest stage of them all. Cena has had that one classic with Triple H, another classic with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. That's two alone, and that's it. But that's it though. That's the only classics that Cena has had at WrestleMania.
Oh my God, Cena was getting booed out of the building when he was a babyface at WrestleMania 22.
It was a classic match.
Oh my, no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Classic. That match is going to be remembered. It's going to be thought about. It's going to be talked about for years longer than that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso match will be. And I love that match, and I agree with everything you said about it. But it's just on a different level. And then the other three matches that I mentioned. The SummerSlam matches with Rollins and Bryan, okay, we'll put those aside. They were great in-ring matches, but They don't have the same storytelling, the same significance to the wrestling business that Roman and Jey Uso had. But that match with AJ Styles at Royal Rumble, that match, and then Cena's match with Punk at Money in the Bank. Those are the holy grail of John Cena's in-ring catalog. Those two matches alone are on a different level completely than Roman Reigns' best matches. Whichever one you want to argue, whether it's Roman and Bryan at Fastlane 15, Roman and Jey Uso at Hell in a Cell, those two Cena matches, Money in the Bank 2011, Royal Rumble 2017, those two matches are at a different level completely. They're up there with like Taker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. They're up there with Bret and Austin at WrestleMania 13. They're up there with Bret Hart versus Bulldog at SummerSlam 92. They're on a different level that Reigns doesn't have a single match that has entered that category yet. He may have one day, but not yet.
I'll give you the Money in the Bank match with Cena and Punk. That was like a legendary, iconic. I'll give you that. I'm still hung up on the fact that you called the WrestleMania 22 main event with Triple H Kevin. That match is most famous for Punk coming out on the side of the car, Cena's entrance, and Cena getting booed as a babyface, getting booed out of the building when he's supposed to be a big star.
How old were you again when that match took place?
Kevin, I've watched it twice.
Where were you though when it was live? When it was happening live, pal?
Oh my god, that's not a reason why. Kevin, where were you in the 80s and 90s? Were you watching then?
We're not talking about the 80s and 90s.
Kevin, you're saying, oh my god, pal. What? That match wasn't a classic. The WrestleMania 2020 main event was not a classic. No.
It's the best match from that show.
I mean, from that show, perhaps. It wasn't some classic. Like, no.
It definitely was.
That's bias. That is bias. I'm not having that.
It's definitely a classic match. It's arguably Triple H's best WrestleMania main event. And Triple H has had a lot of WrestleMania main events, and a lot of them have sucked. And that was arguably his best. That match cemented John Cena as the superstar that he is. It was like, okay, in 05 at WrestleMania 21, he beat JBL. It was like, oh, wow, nice. He beat JBL. Okay, cool. But then when that match took place, everybody thought Triple H was going to win. It was like, okay, the Cena experiment is over. You know, he had a nice little run, a year-long run. Triple H is going to come in. Oh, we're going to get another, what's the phrase? What do they call it? Reign of Terror. Yeah, we're going to get another Reign of Terror. And that's it. Cena's going to just be marginalized. That match puts Cena just in the mainstream. That's something we don't see anymore in WWE. We just don't see it. They had a chance to do it with Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, where Lesnar could have said, all right, Reigns is the guy. That was a passing of the torch moment. Triple H was the biggest star left in WWE from the Attitude Era, biggest full-time star. He gave Cena his stamp of approval in the mainstream. Yeah, people hated Cena. They booed him out the building. But if Triple H pedigrees Cena in 1, 2, 3, and that's it, the bell rings, Cena does not have the career that he has. We're not talking about Cena the same way that we are right now. That match was important in a lot of areas. I'm gonna protect that match, pal. That match was important to a lot of people from the Ruthless Aggression era. It's important for Cena's career.
I've heard enough. Kevin's gatekeeping the WrestleMania 22 main event. Okay, fine. I'm not gonna make your opinion change on that. But pal, I will say this, Kevin. Which of Cena's WrestleMania matches are better as a solo match? Are better than the WrestleMania 37 main event with Reigns, Edge, and Bryan?
Cena and Michaels? Cena and Triple H?
Not Cena and Triple H. No.
They're 10 times better than that triple threat match.
Oh my god.
And I was live. I was in the building for that triple threat match. I was sitting there in the crowd with my girlfriend watching that match. I was there. And I'm saying this. Okay.
That match was fantastic. That match was phenomenal. Cena Michaels, I'll give you. That match was really good. That was a really good match. And Cena Rock, once the first one, the match wasn't as great as Cena Michaels, but I thought
that one too. That's better. That one too. I'm forgetting once in a lifetime. Cena's had 3 Holy Grail WrestleMania main events, and Cena and Rock. That match is better. You could say technically the triple threat match was a better technical match, but overall, the full spectacle of pro wrestling, Cena and Rock was a better match than that triple threat match at WrestleMania 37.
A spectacle of pro wrestling, obviously. When you have Cena and Rock, that's a better spectacle, 100%. But from a match perspective, I'm just saying that triple threat was damn good. Damn good. But
that match was not better. That triple threat match at 37 was not better than Cena and Rock.
I can't with that, pal.
That was not better than Cena Rock, pal.
better for different reasons. Cena Rock was a 35-minute match where half of it was them staring at each other.
That's fine.
So
It's better than
I'm just
that match is better than anything Roman has done in his career.
the build was way better. I'll give you that.
Everything about it, the build, the match, the aftermath, everything about that was better than anything Reigns has done in his career.
The aftermath was better.
Everything, pal.
A year-long storyline with Cena feuding with Tensai and John Laurinaitis.
Hey, we got some good stuff in there too. We got Cena, Bryan, you know, good stuff. No, that wasn't the aftermath, pal. I'm forgetting. No, we got Cena Lesnar. Cena Lesnar, that was great.
Yeah, Cena burying Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules. That was fantastic.
Oh yeah, Brock Lesnar is so buried, pal. He's still the biggest star in WWE when he decides to show up. He's a bigger star than your beloved Roman Reigns whenever Brock Lesnar decides to make his presence felt.
Beat him, and it was like, what was that? And then 3 weeks later, Cena lost to John Laurinaitis. What a way to build up a star, pal. What a way to bring back Brock. Just have Cena beat him, of course.
Yeah, and he's doing fine. Brock is doing fine.
Pal, I'm not saying Cena buried him the same way he buried Rusev, Wade Barrett, Alex Riley, like all
Alex
those guys.
Riley, oh my god.
Pal, Cena buried him backstage and on screen, and you know it. You know it, and I know it, pal.
I know, I made a whole video about it, pal, but come on, it's that for context that Alex Riley is not even he shouldn't even be in the same breath with Brock Lesnar, pal.
Yeah, get the shovel out, John. Get the shovel out. Throw some dirt on his career. Bury him.
Look at that. You're losing your voice, pal.
Pal, John Cena. Anyway, what was
it is my turn. It is my turn.
What was the next category, pal?
So we're done. You were done with this category. So we're just gonna call it. You're giving it to Reigns, and I'm giving it to Cena, right?
Oh, we're still okay. That one took a big turn, and we started yelling at each other. So this was still the in-ring category, yes?
Yes, I'm giving that to Cena. Cena in ring is an 8.
Right. What's Reigns to you?
7. I think it's close.
Reasonable. Yeah, if you said Reigns was like a 5, I would have just ended the podcast. No, I think in ring, I think Reigns is a bit better, but obviously catalog of matches due to the career length, particularly Cena takes it just due to catalog. In that regard, but I think Reigns is he's better in the ring. I think it's close.
We're talking catalog. Reigns has been around for 11 years, pal.
Oh my god, Cena's been around for 22.
We didn't even talk. We didn't even talk about Roman Reigns' Shield days too. I mean, they had some great matches.
I know, right? Matches. Oh my god! You just don't want to mention Shield Wyatt family matches or any of the other Kevin disgraceful. Anyway, what's the next category, pal?
Storytelling.
Oh. Are you gonna tell me this is close?
I think this is the one category that we've debated so far that Reigns has the edge on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think out of every category that you could bring up, every objective category that you could say that there were some that I designed to give Cena the win, whatever. But I think they're all important to what makes a wrestler a wrestler. This is the one that Reigns has for sure. In storytelling, he's the clear better storyteller. The only thing that Cena's done that's even on the same level as this Bloodline story, as a long-term story, is the storyline with Punk. The Money in the Bank 2011.
Really? I was going to say the once in a lifetime against The Rock. I thought that was...
that too.
I thought that was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was so riddled with like the Miz. You had the Miz out there, and you know, you had the Miz and Alex Riley dancing with balloons, and we had a WrestleMania 27 that was just a commercial for WrestleMania 28. People paid $75 for a commercial for the following year's WrestleMania. So there's a lot of stuff that you could poke holes in. I think the 3 weeks, the 3 to 7, 8 weeks prior to WrestleMania 28 was great, but I wouldn't say that's like a good consistent year-long story.
That's very fair. I think I'm getting the last, like, from like the Royal Rumble through WrestleMania 28. I'm getting like how good that was, confused with The Rock and Cena versus Awesome Truth at a pay-per-view, with The Miz, with all that other rubbish that was involved. So.
Yeah, don't forget the crowd that was chanting for Zack Ryder at that Survivor Series while The Rock's in there cutting a promo.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
Yeah,
there's so much wrong. The chant of Matt Cardona, pal. That's the guy you're telling me is better. Not kidding. You said Reigns wins this category, so yeah. I think that Bloodline, what we're seeing with the Bloodline right now, Kevin. When I was growing up watching Cena for those years in his absolute prime, I wasn't viewing Cena's story as the same way I'm viewing this Reigns story. It was pretty much just like, okay, Cena's the main event, and he's the biggest star they have. He's the biggest face. But it's kind of just like, okay, he's feuding with Kane. Embrace the hate, pal. Oh, he's having a match with John Laurinaitis. Oh, he's feuding with Big Show now. Oh, he's feuding with Big Show again. Oh, there's another Punk match. Oh, he's feuding with Ryback. He's feuding with Sheamus. Oh, he's feuding with Bray Wyatt. Oh, he's feuding with Rusev. And it's just like, okay, cool. It was kind of there. Was this from a storyline perspective has you compelled to watch Raw and SmackDown, well, mainly SmackDown, but just week to week, you want to see what's happening. So yeah, Kevin, we'll give Roman this one. Cena has had some good ones. I'm not saying Cena's been a bad storyteller, but compared to what Reigns is doing right now, Cena has nothing that compares to this in his career.
Yeah, and as an in-ring storyteller too, I think Reigns is better at like working the body parts and telling a good story in a match. A lot of times with Cena, it's just like, okay, Cena's gonna no sell moves, and then he's gonna take a few moves from Ziggler. He's gonna sell them pretty well, and then it's all right. Attitude adjustment, 1, 2, 3. On to the next city, pal.
Oh, mate, so you're telling me it's SummerSlam 2010 when Cena was getting beat up by the entire Nexus. It was Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett, the future star of the company, against just Cena. Cena was dead and buried, dead to rights in the ring. They literally left him for a moment. Justin Gabriel got back in the ring. He got taken out. 1, 2, 3. Wade Barrett comes in. STF, I'd make you tap out, Nation. I'll bury the future of the company, Nation.
Wade Barrett was never the future of the company. I hate that narrative. Wade Barrett, like, what were they gonna do with Wade Barrett at the top of WWE?
Boom!
You have Wade Barrett main eventing WrestleMania 28 against The Rock after he beat Cena at SummerSlam 2010. That was so terrible that people thought Wade Barrett was the next face of the company. Like, come on.
This is the thing with Cena. Like, a lot of the guys he like buried, they weren't going to be the next like star for 10 years. It's not like he was beating Roman Reigns 3 out of 3 times on pay per view. It wasn't like that. But these guys could have had actual like good upper mid card to main event careers that Cena just took a big hit to in a lot of these cases. But nonetheless, Kevin, we move. We know Cena's a burial artist. We'll carry on. Carry on.
Oh man, wow. Okay, but let's see. What's the next category we got here, pal? Trying to think. Did we hit everything? I think we hit every category that I had planned. Is there one you want to throw out there?
I mean, this one, I'll throw you a bone here just to help out. Discuss this. Just with entrance. I know you kind of mentioned with, I guess, the hot kind of the wrestling package sort of thing, but just with entrance, Cena takes it. I want to say, Cena's entrance is just that iconic. Like literally, little children on the playgrounds still sing that song, sort of thing. If they're not, doing TikTok dances or anything, they're singing Cena's theme song, pal. Yeah, no, Cena wins that one. Reigns' theme song is cool. It's probably one of the best theme songs they have in wrestling today, and his entrance is sick. But yeah, Cena's entrance, there's something about him. All those WrestleManias, Kevin. Cena comes out, he's doing the "You Can't See Me," holds the little towel up, and he runs down to the ring. You've got like a marching band, or you got all the Cena lookalikes, or MGK performing. Like Cena's entrance is just clear Reigns. I'd say. So
Absolutely, pal. I agree. Cena's entrance is iconic. Cena's entrance is on a different level. The theme song, arguably the most recognizable theme song in wrestling history. People just recognize that. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's up there with Austin's Glass Break, but I think it surpassed Austin's Glass Break. That's just me. It's kind of hard to have this debate, pal. I mean, Cena seems to have Reigns just destroyed in every category, pal. Do you want to fight for your boy?
Slanderous comment. That is not true.
Do you want to fight for your boy, pal?
Young talent. Who's winning that category, pal?
Oh yeah, that's all you got, pal. You have to resort to minimal insults, pal.
Who's got a Star Wars promo, pal?
What young talent did Cena bury that was going to be the future of the company? Alex Riley? You're telling me Alex Riley was going to be the next face of WWE, pal? Alex Riley was going to be on Jimmy Fallon with the WWE Championship talking about how great it is to be an employee of Vince McMahon's company?
Pal, you're telling me that, pal? Alex Riley's your example, pal. Pal, Alex Riley sucks. But Kev, my point is, Cena never gave a bunch of these guys the chance to even get to a potential main
Kevin
event
Owens,
career.
he let Kevin Owens beat him. He let a fat, out of shape Ring of Honor guy beat him in his first match in WWE on the main roster.
That was when Kevin. That was when Cena wasn't the top guy anymore.
Brock Lesnar killed him at SummerSlam 2014 and
Yep.
ended his run as the top guy.
Yep.
You think Hulk Hogan would have allowed that, brother? No. Cena is more generous that he gets credit for. Hulk Hogan would not have allowed that. Stone Cold would not have allowed that. Stone Cold quit when Vince McMahon asked him to put over Brock Lesnar. CM Punk would have walked out. Shawn Michaels would not have allowed that. But John Cena did.
How generous was John Cena at SummerSlam 2010?
Yeah, there you go, pal. I won.
What do you? Oh my god! Okay.
Yeah, the fact that you have to bring that up, the fact that that's all you got. You have nothing to refute what I just said.
Yeah, really generous, pal. Let's just single-handedly bury the Nexus. That's your superstar right there. That's your
The
man.
Nexus, like what? Those guys still were okay. Daniel Bryan had a great career. Ryback had a great career. See, I'm refuting what you're saying, pal. You still have not addressed what I just said about SummerSlam 2014. I'm waiting for you to debate that, pal.
What the point that no other guy would have been as generous? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah. Are you telling me that Terry Bollea would have been okay with that, pal?
Pal, that was supposed to be Daniel Bryan, and Cena was just a placeholder in that situation, pal.
Yeah. And you think Terry Bollea would have been a placeholder for Daniel Bryan?
I mean, he
No.
would have just said something racist and got out of it. So,
And Shawn Michaels would have done that. Ric Flair,
I mean,
Bret Hart, CM Punk.
99.
Your GOAT, CM Punk, would not have done that, pal.
Oh my god! Now you're saying CM Punk's my goat. This guy over here.
Your
This
GOAT,
guy.
Philip Jack Brooks, would have said that doesn't work for me, brother.
Pal, my goat refuses to have a staph infection and not get cut out, pal. Wow. But yeah, no, Kevin, as I was saying, in conclusion, Cena wins, lol, just like most of his career. And yeah, Reigns isn't far off in a number of these categories. Maybe in 5-10 years, it'll be a different discussion. For now, Cena clears Reigns. On the whole. Reigns, storytelling-wise, is better. This
Cena even had a better video game cover than Reigns.
Well, how can I dispute that? Reigns was 2K20. What? Dispute that. That's ridiculous. That point is just not fair, Kevin.
Cena has a better Instagram account. Cena has a better Twitter account.
No, Cena does not have a better Twitter account. He's just Cena's motivational Twitter account. That's Cena's Twitter.
Yeah.
Reigns' Twitter is actually funny. He buries the current talent in a funny way that actually puts them over.
Wow, so you're okay when Reigns buries young talent, but you're not okay when Cena does it?
No, pal, because when Reigns does, it's entertaining, it's good, and it actually helps the storyline.
Are we going to talk about the fact that Reigns buried talent? Reigns sent talent like Daniel Bryan and Cesaro to AEW, pal, because he buried them so badly they couldn't recover.
And maybe because neither of them are any good. Maybe that's why.
Oh, but Wade Barrett and the Nexus are good.
Pal, Wade Barrett could have been a main event star.
No, he could not have. You don't even believe that. You don't even believe that. You don't even believe that.
Kevin, do you support SummerSlam 2010?
Yes, I do.
Oh my god.
Of course. They still became stars. Daniel Bryan and Ryback still became stars. Wyndham Rotunda still became a star.
He Nexus in that match. Like, just don't bring him up. Like,
good for Cena for using his place as a star. That was the one time where Cena threw his weight around and was like, "No, I'm John Cena. I'm not losing to this bum Wade Barrett." Good for him.
Kevin,
bro, he lost clean to Daniel Bryan, bro.
Oh my god.
Shawn Michaels would have left the company if Vince would have had him lose to Daniel Bryan.
Baseball. That was the story. Oh, whatever.
Cena is more generous, pal. This debate shouldn't even have been a debate. Cena's in the Mount Rushmore conversation. Roman Reigns has not even cracked the top 30 all time yet.
And yet you've still spent like an hour arguing with me over it. That shows you the basis for a bunch of this comparison.
Yeah, maybe one day this will be a closer debate. But Reigns will be in Hollywood by next year, pal. So I think we've seen the end of Reigns' career already.
Also, one more question. What was the storyline from WrestleMania 22's main event with Cena and Triple H? What was the story there?
It was the Attitude Era versus the New Era.
And the New Era got received so well, booed out of the building.
Yeah, and he's the biggest celebrity to ever come from wrestling. So I think he did all right.
10 years later. Come on now.
I think he did all right, pal.
Come on now. This is just
I think he did all right for
Kevin.
himself. Classic match.
This got heated. This got heated. There was some shouting. I'd like to say thanks for the podcast. It was a good show. Will we be back for another Elite Heat show? Waits to be seen. Who knows? We'll see. And yeah, Pat, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just John Cena annihilated Roman Reigns. There should not have been a debate, and it was great. Just sticking it to you, pal. Reminding you that Cena's better.
This is Kevin. This is a circus. What you just said there. Anyway.
All right, well,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
yeah. Thank you all for listening, and yeah, will we be back with another Elite Heat episode? Remains to be seen. But for now,
Is this the end of Elite Heat? Am I basically Skip Bayless trying to argue the unarguable just for the sake of views? Waits to be seen. So yeah, thanks for watching. Elite Heat out.
peace.